Russia's 85 federal subjects include 22 republics, each created as a homeland for a distinct ethnic group. As Lenin's government reorganized the former empire, republics were nation-states for ethnic minorities, named for their titular nationality. Today, their autonomous status is largely symbolic, but each still has its own constitution, flag, and native language. Our journey will traverse a handful of these republics, from the snowy taiga of Siberia to the rugged Caucasus, weaving together their history, traditions, material culture, and modern challenges in a coherent narrative. We begin in the North Caucasus, in the Republic of Chechnya, a land of craggy mountains and fierce independence. Chechens, and their neighbors the Ingush, are of the Vainakh people, a Northeast Caucasian ethnic group speaking the Nakh languages. Sunni Islam has been the majority faith since medieval times. Chechnya's modern history was tragic. 2 devastating wars with Russia left its capital, Grozny, a flattened ruin. By the mid-2000s, however, the city was almost completely rebuilt, with gleaming new mosques, offices, and marble facades, so that Grozny looks better than most Russian cities. Locals now credit one man, President Ramzan Kadyrov, with bringing stability and reconstruction. This new prosperity has a sharp edge. Kadyrov's regime has enacted strict social rules under the banner of tradition and Islamic morality. Human Rights Watch documents that he told Chechen women not to wear shorts and enforced conservative dress codes, forcing headscarves on women and caps on men in the name of virtue. His rule has been called a personality cult, with security services accused of disappearances and torture against dissidents. Such realities lie beneath Chechnya's post-war calm. Culturally, Chechnya's mountain traditions endure. Chechen men traditionally wore the Caucasian Cherkeska, a long wool coat with rows of silver cartridge holders, gazirs across the chest, and tall papacha hats of sheep's wool. Women's ceremonial dresses were richly layered. A Chechen bridal outfit, for instance, typically consisted of a silk chokha coat over an ankle-length robe, the koch. These garments were profusely embroidered or appliqued, often with bright silks and silver ornamentation. Brides would wrap a 3-meter-long chiffon headdress around their heads. Even today, on weddings and cultural festivals, one might glimpse these vividly colored robes, chokhas etched in velvet or lace, and heavy silver jewelry, a tangible link to Chechnya's past. Chechen society has ancient roots. The ruins of stone towers in the mountains and petroglyphs speak of a people forged by mountain life and warfare. Under Soviet rule, Chechnya was often restive. Stalin deported the Chechens en masse in 1944. After the 1990s wars, Chechnya was reintegrated firmly under Moscow's wing. The new mosques of Grozny and Shali attest to its revival of Islamic identity. For example, the central mosque in Shali, completed in 2019, is now called the Pride of Muslims and can hold over 20,000 worshippers. Even as Chechens rebuilt, they vowed to remember their struggles. One local ethnographer summed it up, saying tiny Chechnya is undergoing a cultural revival after decades of war. The Republic of Dagestan stretches along the Caspian Sea and up into the heart of the Caucasus. Its very name means land of the mountains. Dagestan is famed as Russia's most ethnically diverse region. Over 3.1 million people live here, representing more than 30 ethnic groups and 14 official languages. The largest group are the Avars, who make up 30% of the population, but others, Dargins, Kubiks, Lezgins, Blacks, Tabasarans, Nogays, and dozens more, each give Dagestan a distinctive identity. The capital, Makhachkala, is a cosmopolitan port where one hears half a dozen languages in a market square. Sunni Islam has been the unifying faith since the 9th century, and ancient historic cities like Derbent trace back to Persian and Arab times. Dagestan's history is one of resistance. In the 19th century, it was the center of the legendary anti-Russian imamate. Under Imam Shabel, an Avar leader from 1834 to 1859, the mountain tribes unified against Tsarist advance in the long Caucasian War. Shabel still lives on in folktales as a national hero. Later, Dagestan, along with neighboring Chechnya, briefly declared independence after 1917, but by 1921, it became the Dagestan ASSR of the USSR. In the post-Soviet era, Dagestan has struggled with its own turmoil. Islamist insurgencies in the 1990s and 2000s, like the 1999 raid by Chechen militants, tested the republic's stability. Today, however, it is mostly peaceful under strong regional government. Dagestani culture is rooted in its crafts and villages. The republic's rugged terrain meant each community lived in relative isolation, so each had its own artisans and styles. Even at the height of Tsarist Russia, every Dagestani village had blacksmiths, carpenters, and weavers. Modern scholars note that Dagestan's rich natural resources, wool, wood, stone, and clay, and its historic trade links to Persia, Turkey, and the Volga Basin, helped crafts flourish. For example, villages around the Caspian shore are famous for fine woolen kuba and tabasaran rugs, so-called Derbent rugs, in deep indigo blues and reds. Likewise, Dagestani jewelry and metalwork are renowned. In pre-Soviet times, every area made its own style of sword, dagger, or kinjal, and women's gold and silver ornaments. Today, revival cooperatives produce ceremonial shashkas, curved sabers, and sale of traditional khancha, silver bridal sets, and filigree jewelry helps keep the old crafts alive. Modern Dagestan still reflects its diversity. The State Council includes deputies from Avars, Dargins, Kumiks, Lezgins, Blacks, Tabasarans, and others. In daily life, you might visit a Dargin farmhouse where clay ovens bake fatir bread, or see Kumik riders racing across the steppe in traditional chapan coats. Though there have been ethnic tensions at times, Dagestan is generally known for resilience. Even after conflicts, it remains a patchwork where 12 groups each make up more than 1% of the population. Visitors are struck by the extraordinary variety, from the ancient citadel and temple ruins at Derbent on the Caspian coast to the alpine villages of the Greater Caucasus. The Republic of Tatarstan occupies the rich plains where the Volga and Kama rivers meet. Its capital, Kazan, is a glittering city of towers and minarets. Tatars are a Turkic people whose ancestors include the medieval Volga Bulgars and later the Kazan Khanate. They are predominantly Sunni Muslim, but Tatars and Russians have coexisted here for centuries. Indeed, one UNESCO site, the Kazan Kremlin, exemplifies this blend. The Kremlin fortress dates from the Muslim period of the Golden Horde and the Kazan Khanate, and is the only surviving Tatar fortress in Russia, containing both an old Tatar mosque and a Russian Orthodox cathedral. It was captured by Ivan the Terrible in 1552, but the Muslim heritage remains prominent. Today, Kazan proclaimed itself the third capital of Russia, after Moscow and St. Petersburg. Tatarstan is proud of its culture. Traditional Tatar dress is lively and ornate. Men historically wore long velvety chapan coats, often embroidered or appliqued, and fur hats. For instance, the chapan, a double-breasted overcoat, might be made in velvet and edged in silk, indicating wealth and status. Women's dresses feature vivid brocades and embroidered velvet jackets. A common festive ensemble was the kilmek, a floor-length tunic dress worn over a white underskirt, topped with a short, sleeveless velvet kamzul jacket, and a tall pointed headdress, kalfak, decorated with pearls or applique. Such outfits survive today in holiday processions and at festivals. Tatar jewelry is also distinct. Women's outfits often include breastplates of silver or brass, called tusaldarek or izu, and multiple strands of beaded necklaces. These ornaments were once believed to protect against illness and misfortune. Every summer, Tatarstan celebrates Savantoy, a traditional plowing festival with ancient pagan roots. Savantoy features folk games and sports, horse races, wrestling, and pole climbing, combined with music, dance, and a great communal feast. It reaches its peak in Kazan, but is celebrated by Tatars worldwide, even in London or New York. Indeed, as the travel writer Harry Leeds notes, Savantoy is harkening back to the pre-Islamic plow festivals, and now brings together Tatars, mainly in the Volga region of central Russia. The festival itself has a storied history. It was first recorded by the 10th century Arab traveler Ibn Fadlan during his journey to Volga, Bulgaria in 921 CE. Today, Savantoy is a riot of color and energy. Crowds sing and swing on swings. Teams try to pluck coins from milk, and the prize is often a cockerel. And children chase each other with pillows. It's said that as long as there have been Tatars, there has been Savantoy. By now, Tatarstan has one of Russia's most developed economies. Oil refineries line the Volga. Relations with Moscow are generally cooperative. In fact, Tatars often point to the Republic as a model of interethnic harmony. One observer notes that Tatarstan is the most tolerant region in Russia. where both Tatar and Russian languages are spoken and learned. Kazan universities publish in both languages, and bilingual signs adorn the streets. This relative peace reflects Tatarstan's history of compromise. Its first president, Mintimir Shamiyev, negotiated a power-sharing treaty with the Kremlin in 1994 that granted Tatarstan substantial autonomy, a special status that lasted until 2017. Crossing the Urals and descending from the Volga lowlands, our expedition now heads into Siberia's extremes. We leap thousands of miles into the northeast, to a land of permafrost and perpetual cold. The Sakha Republic, often still called Yakutia, is Russia's largest subnational unit, almost as big as India. It sprawls from the eastern Sayan Mountains to the Arctic Ocean, and from the Lena River to the Sea of Okhotsk. Winters here are legendary. In Yakutsk, the capital, temperatures regularly dip below -45 degrees Fahrenheit, or -42 degrees Celsius. On the freezing northeast, the village of Oymyakon holds the record for coldest inhabited place on Earth. Summers, by contrast, can reach +80 degrees Fahrenheit, or 27 degrees Celsius. With ground frozen most of the year, the Sakha people have adapted an ingenious material culture. Traditional Sakha clothing, for both men and women, is heavily layered, made of fur and leather to fight wind and frost. Anthropologists note that Sakha winter attire covers a person from head to toe, often only leaving the eyes and some parts of the face exposed. For example, men wear a fur-trimmed coat, oloncho, and a tall fur papacha hat, along with thick reindeer fur boots, uti, and fur mittens. Women's winter dress includes layered tunics and long boots. One folk source describes them in ensembles of 3 garments, composable pairs and boots and mittens. In the few summer months, Sakha villagers switched to lighter attire of thin deerskin tunics and embroidered robes, but the emphasis on insulation remains. Decoration of Sakha clothing is not mere ornament. Folk tradition says the elaborate embroidery and jewelry also protect the soul from evil spirits. Silver and beadwork, in particular, act as talismans. Thus, festive garments are often lavishly adorned. The same theme holds in Sakha shaman ritual costume, where bells and carved ornaments are believed to call spirits. Even hunting tools become art. Hunters' knives and saddle trappings are edged with Yakut symbols. One vivid example of Sakha jewelry making comes from Khabarovsk Museum's exhibition, The Rigging Beauty of Yakut Silver, which explains that Yakuts venerated silver as the metal of the moon and night sky. According to that exhibit, all items of women's jewelry had a protective function and showed the social status of their owners. The Yakuts avoided embedding gems in silver, instead carving intricate patterns into the metal itself to let its white sheen evoke starlight. Sakha culture is also famous for its legends. The oral epic Oloncho is one of the world's great heroic tales. This Yakut epos, inscribed on UNESCO's Intangible Heritage List, can run 10,000 to 15,000 verses in a single telling. An Oloncho singer alternates chanting verse with prose narration, enacting stories of brave warriors sky spirits, and shape-shifting animals. UNESCO notes that these epics not only entertain, but reflect Yakut beliefs, weaving together myth and history of a people struggling for survival in a harsh land. Elders still perform snippets of olonjo at festivals, clad in ornate robes and feathered headdresses. Today, the Sakha Republic is rich in diamonds and gold, which fund its schools and culture. The modern capital, Yakutsk, boasts Siberia's own metro, built in melted permafrost, and world-class museums. Yet beneath these slogans of economic progress, tensions simmer over language and identity. In 2025, Yakut leaders warned they would protest a proposed federal law declaring Russian the native language of all citizens. Ivan Shamayev, head of the Sakha Indigenous Congress, put it bluntly: "No matter how much I love the Russian language, I can't consider it my native one," and promised rallies in Yakutia if Moscow enshrines that mandate. This controversy highlights the Republic's ongoing balance, maintaining Yakut's traditions. On Isyakh summer holidays, for example, horse races and shamanic rites still thrive, while integrating into Russia's political framework. South of Sakha lie the windswept plateaus and taiga of southern Siberia. We descend from Yakut's modern skyline into the central steppe of Asia, to the Republic of Tuva, passing from cold extremes to a land of flame-colored sunsets and high plains. The Tuva Republic is a relatively small, landlocked region, south of Krasnoyarsk Krai, bordering Mongolia. Its people, the Tuvans, are a Turkic, Mongolic-influenced people with a nomadic heritage. Traditionally, Tuvans herded horses, cattle, and camels across the steppe. They built felt tents, also called yurts, and wore thick deal robes like their Mongol neighbors, richly patterned for ceremonies. In 1944, Tuvans joined the USSR and later the Russian Federation. Many are ethnically Buddhist today, though shamanism, rooted in Tengrism, persists among reindeer herders. One of the best-known aspects of Tuva is its music. The unique vocal art of throat singing, Tuvan Khume, has become a symbol of the region worldwide. In Khume, a single singer produces two or more pitches simultaneously, evoking the landscape. According to Smithsonian ethnographers, Tuvan singers imitate the natural surroundings, animals, mountains, streams, and the harsh winds of the steppe. Once practiced only among herders, throat singing is now proudly taught in schools and performed on concert stages, embodying Tuvan identity. Tuva even won a Minorities Film Festival award for a documentary on throat singing. Tuva's material culture also reflects its mix of influences. The shaman, Ka, and Buddhist Lama coexist. Folk arts displays include shaman drums with horsehair, Buddhist prayer flags, and wooden horse saddles decorated in horn or silver. Tuvan ornamentation often includes tribal motifs, spirals, animal totems, carved into wood or bone, horse bridle ornaments, and women's headdresses made of beads and leather attest to the enduring horse-centered life. In recent decades, Tuva has seen a cultural revival. After decades of Soviet suppression, shamans have reopened their sacred Oru sites on the mountains, and traditional crafts are enjoying renewed popularity among youth. Tuva unexpectedly entered the Western imagination through one of the 20th century's most brilliant physicists, Richard Feynman. In the late 1970s, Feynman and his friend Ralph Layton became obsessed with reaching the obscure republic, then closed off deep within the Soviet Union. The mere name, Tuva, fascinated Feynman, who saw it as a symbol of the unknown. Their decade-long quest, tangled in Cold War bureaucracy, became the subject of Layton's book, Tuva or Bust. Though Feynman passed away in 1988 before fulfilling his dream, the story inspired countless readers and introduced Tuva and its traditions, like throat singing and nomadic culture, to an international audience. Interestingly, after Feynman's death, Layton, along with Feynman's daughter, Michelle, did visit, partly fulfilling his wish. In Tuva today, Feynman is still remembered not as a visitor, but as a dreamer who helped put their land on the map. And in 1998, it famously held a referendum to join the United States, a whimsical stunt with no practical result. Today, Tuva participates fully in Russian Federation life, even electing its own Duma. But its people keep their nomadic roots alive. From the tufts of Siberian grass and cattle, we turn our sights east, toward Lake Baikal, at the mountainous republic of Buryatia, bridging Siberia and Mongolia. East of Tuva, the Republic of Buryatia hugs the eastern shores of Lake Baikal. Buryats are a Mongolic people, historically related to the Mongols. Today, they and ethnic Russians form roughly equal communities. Russian Orthodox Christianity, Tibetan Buddhism, Buryat Lamist tradition, and indigenous shamanism all shape Buryat life. Buryatia has more Buddhist datsans, temples, than any other part of Russia. The Ivolginsky Datsan, near Ulan-Ude, is the center of Buddhism in Russia, founded in the late 1940s as the only Buddhist spiritual center permitted in the USSR. Ulan-Ude streets are often graced by men in kalpaks, tall Mongol hats, and women in silk deal dresses embroidered with silver threads, a visual reminder of Buryatia's Asian links. Traditional Buryat culture is rooted in herding and nature worship. Men wear the deal, a long tunic belted at the waist, and tall fur hats. Women's folk costume includes colorful khangari coats with intricate trim. Ornamentation often features Buryat symbols. For example, some silver jewelry plates depict the soyombo, a stylized fire symbol common among Mongol peoples. Horses are sacred. Buryat horse tack is lavishly carved and engraved, and many rituals involve horse sacrifices in the wild hills. To this day, horse skulls are sometimes ritually positioned at sacred sites to honor mountain spirits. Economically, Buryata lives off mining. The Urals to the north yield gold and coal, as well as Baikal tourism. Its literature and music celebrates both shamanic and Buddhist folklore. An extraordinary Buryat story is that of Dashi Dorjo Itigilov, a revered 18th century Khambo Lama, whose body, exhumed in 2002, was found perfectly preserved after 75 years in the ground. It is now an object of pilgrimage at Ivolginsky.sun. Such tales show how Buddhism and local belief blend seamlessly here. Finally, we turn back toward European Russia to touch on one more republic, Mari El. Nestled along the Volga's bends, Mari El is the homeland of the Mari, a Finno-Ugric people, kin to Finns and Hungarians. The Mari are unique in Russia for preserving a pre-Christian pagan religion. Even after Tsarist and Soviet bans, Mari priests, called krais, still perform rituals in forest groves. They worship nature spirits under a supreme god called Oshkuguyumo, the great white god of light and sky. Participants ritually prepare bread offerings by the lunar calendar. Mari krais wear distinctive white felt caps during ceremonies. There are said to be around 500 sacred sites, groves or mountaintops, where Mari pray to their forest gods. The government has even recognized and protected several of these as cultural monuments. Mari folk dress is also striking. Men wear embroidered linen shirts with silvered metal breastplates, called runa hatas, and brimmed hats. Women's attire includes long woolen skirts with colorful woven band borders, ornate shawls, and tall conical headdresses with coins and beads. Every stitch of Mari clothing is symbolic. Sun and bird motifs abound, reflecting their nature religion. A Mari bride's outfit might involve dozens of coins sewn into her apron and headdress, each meant to drive away evil. From the sacred groves of the Mari to the turquoise steppes of Tuva, from the golden domes of the Kazan Kremlin to the frozen wastes of Yakutia, we have surveyed only some of Russia's republics. Each is a microcosm of history and culture. Chechnya is rebuilding mosques and wedding silks. Dagestan's silver jewelry and mountain wrestling. Tatarstan's festivals of strength and golden horde legacy. Sakha's hardy furs and epic poetry. Tuva's shamanic songs. Buryatia's Buddhist temples. And the Mari's pagan rites. Though drawn together by the structure of the Russian Federation, these regions often feel worlds apart, and not just in miles. Yet they all share this, a memory of their own past, expressed in cloth and craft, in hero stories and holy places. As one scholar put it, Russia's republics were created to give peoples the rights to self-determination, however limited. In the 21st century, they still serve as classrooms of ethnography within one country. Reminders of the ethnic and cultural mosaic that is modern Russia.